guys, this is Paul McWhorter with ExtremePreppers.com, and I'm going to be talking to you today about transporting sheep and goats. If you are a small-time prepper or homesteader like myself, what you find is that in raising goats or sheep or other flock-type animals, the challenge in a homesteading or prepping type of environment is a lot of times you can't afford the infrastructure that you would have if you were a larger farmer. And so things like having all the pens and chutes and loading equipment and stock trailers, you're just not going to have it if you are raising 4 to 10 sheep. And so you're still trying to kind of raise this meat, maybe make a little bit of money, but you don't have a good way to get your stock from your homestead to the butcher or to the market. And so what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about some of those options for people like me. Now, I have a small flock of Dorper sheep. You can see here there's some of them coming up to eat. I usually have between 4 and 10 Dorper sheep, and with 4 to 10 Dorper sheep, I just simply cannot afford to buy a stock trailer. That stock trailers are fairly expensive. Once you have it, you got to get the license tags for it. You got to keep the tires maintained. You got to keep the system running, and it's just not worth it for what I need, which is 2 or 3 times a year to take some sheep to the butcher or to take some sheep to the market. And the other option I guess you could do is that you could borrow one from someone. A lot of us would know someone that has a stock trailer, but if you're borrowing it 2 or 3 times a year, you kind of eventually start becoming a little bit of a nuisance, and maybe your friend starts thinking, this guy needs to get his own stock trailer rather than using mine all the time. So what are your options as a small-time operator? Well, I guess the first one is what you could do is you could do the African method, and what the African method is that you get the goat or sheep, you tie the front leg to the back leg, front leg to the back leg, and you put that whole thing on like a backpack. I have seen this many times in Africa, and actually it's kind of funny when you see it. It's like the sheep kind of likes it. The sheep doesn't mind. It's like, hey, I'm getting a ride back here. He just seems to be out for a ride, so the sheep doesn't like it at all. So while this system works pretty well in Africa, it's probably a little bit more primitive than what most of us here in the United States would like to try. So the question is there something in between the African method and the full-blown have your own stock trailer method? And what I found is something that works very, very well, and I've used it several times now, is a dog cage in the back of your pickup. Now this particular dog cage is the one that I've been using. If you look at my website, www.extremepreppers.com, I've got a link there that shows you exactly the cage that I bought. I think it's between $120 and $130, and I found that it works just splendidly. And the way I do it is, the first thing is I don't have all the chutes and loading stuff, and kind of like if you've got sheep just wandering around the pasture, they're not just going to come up and jump in this cage. And typically the way a real farmer would do it, or a real sheep raiser, would be he would have pens with sort of a wide, almost funnel the sheep into the pen, close them up, and then have a chute. The chute leads to a chute leads to a stock trailer, and then you just kind of funnel them in, and it works pretty well. Other more sophisticated sheep raisers or goat raisers have sheep dogs that can go practically load the sheep for you. But for us small-time operators, it's a pretty big challenge to get the sheep in the cage or get the sheep in a, even in a trailer. So here's what I do. Once I get the sheep, I kind of program them to get used to me and to like me. So when I come home from work in the evening, I get a little bucket of corn, and I go out and I shake it, and it makes a distinctive noise. They look, they come up, I feed them some corn, and then I get them more and more comfortable with me. Every night, go up, shake that corn, and then they come in and just get them where they get real close to me to eat the corn. Okay, now they're used to me. I just kind of do that every night. And then when it's time to go to the butcher, what I will do is I'll shake it, I'll throw it out, they'll come up, and then I will just reach out and grab a leg. Now they are going to kick and they are going to pull, but you just got to say, I am going to hold on. You hold it, then you come up and you get under them. And then for a lamb, say 90 to 100 pounds, you can really do this with one person. You grab the leg, you get down under them, you lift them up. Now, very important, before you do this, make sure that you have the cage door open, because it is very hard to open the cage door if you are wrestling with a sheep or lamb. So important tip, have the door open beforehand. Then I get them, I put them in the cage and then close the cage door. What I found that this particular model of dog cage, I can get 2 or 3 lambs in it, no problem. And then I typically secure it down just a little bit and then off to market we go. So this is what I've done and it works very well. It works for both sheep and goats. I hope you have found this video useful. If you like it, thinking about giving me a thumbs up, okay, maybe subscribe to the channel. I will be making a lot more homesteading and prepping videos and hope to see you around. Paul McWhorter with ExtremePreppers.com.